We are live. Hello, everyone. This is Quanisha Green, the founder and CEO of Black Women CEO. And I'm so excited to do, as part of our RISE Virtual Summit, we are doing RISE Honors, where we are featuring as guests, our featured guests and honorees, some of our who really represent, I guess, our mission and our vision, and even this theme of it's time for the world to know your name. So our first interview today is with Dr. Marvette Lacy. Hey, Dr. Marvette.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Quanisha. Thank you so much for having me today.
You're so welcome. And Marvette volunteers for a lot of stuff in our community. So you've probably seen her around. So she's going to formally introduce herself as we go through the questions, but quickly, just some housekeeping items, right? Like you all know, we do the announcements before church. So first, let me just tell you a little bit about Black Women CEO if you're new to our community. Black Women CEO is a global hub dedicated to providing high impact and culturally relevant business programs, right, to Black women who are ready to get known and paid for the expertise. And we work with highly educated and highly talented, so everyone doesn't need a doctorate, but in highly talented women, right, who are struggling sometimes with internal barriers to really get out there and share their expertise. So let me know in the chat or in the Facebook comments if sometimes you struggle with doubt, insecurity, that imposter syndrome. You're like, they're going to find me out even though I have 25 years of expertise, right? And so we really help women to do the internal work so that then they can do the outer work. So yes, we teach business skills to generate consistent revenue. And so the women that we're honoring for RISE, like I said, really exemplify that. They have generated consistent revenue. They have made those concerted efforts and dedication. And like I said, really that transparency and vulnerability that they needed to, heal sometimes and overcome unhealthy belief systems so that they can they took themselves to a more empowering stance. So you'll hear more about their challenges and their success strategies as the interview goes along. The other announcement is if you're watching this on Facebook or any of the online platforms where we stream to, please note that we will have a live Q&A at the end. But to participate in a giveaway, right? And I'll tell you what that is in a second. But to participate, we won't be answering your questions on Facebook. You have to come into our virtual classroom here at Zoom. And what you can do is click that bit.ly link, right? It's a short link that says RISE Summit 2019 so that you can come on in to the inner circle. And right, you can actually sign up right now or while the webinar is going and participate in the live Q&A. When we get to that point of the live Q&A, we will actually be picking one person, so one of our participants who are live here, to get a complimentary private coaching session with me. That's worth $350 in value. It's a 20-minute power session, and they are so effective. You might be like, well, it's only 20 minutes, but girl, we laser in, right? We get to your stuff, and Marvette will tell you about that in a second. So I think that's all my announcements for now. So let's officially start our RISE interview. And once again, let's say hi to Dr. Marvette. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. So just quickly, let me, as I do with everything, let me tell you what Dr. Marvette means to me. I think we started working with each other like 2017, or it was the end of like 2016. Yeah, she joined the Mind Your Business Challenge. And I think you were familiar with me from like another community, so you can tell the full background story. And I'm like, wow, this has been a long time. We're going, girl, you and I have been going steady for almost 3 years.
I know.
And Marvette did our Mind Your Business Challenge. And then she's like, I got to talk to you, right? And signed up at the time, which was like our version of one of our high level programs that later became the Black Women CEO Collective. So she joined our part for school to get, really more training and support from me. And then she went on to even do more private coaching. She was like, all right, this is working, but I want some more support to really break through. And after all that work, she started to implement and started attracting clients. And she'll tell you more about that. And we're going to share some numbers of some of the results that she's gotten. But one thing I really appreciated about you, Dr. Marvette, is that no matter what challenge that you face, and many of you know when you're doing inner work, stuff will come up and you're like, ooh, what's going on? And you had a number of life challenges along the way that you stay committed to seeing it through, right? And even when life got crazy, sometimes we got to tend to life. And she came back and did what she needed to do. So she's going to tell you more about that. But that's who Dr. Marvette Lacy is to me. So with that, Dr. Marvette, tell us who you be, right? Describe yourself beyond kind of what you do. Let's start there.
Mm-hmm. So, hello everyone. In my mind, I think of myself as your ultimate sister girlfriend, right? And while I most of my life have focused on doing that for other people, I would say this year I've really been focusing on being my own sister girlfriend. So when I say sister girlfriend, I mean your ultimate support person, someone who's there to listen to you, who understands no matter how out there you may think it is. I'm that person to help you put it all together. And so I've really been doing that for myself of how can I continue to show up and do that for other people if I'm not doing that for myself. So this past year, I've been doing a lot of inner self-work, more work than in the past. And I would say, yep, that's how I describe myself.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. For introducing yourself in that way. And I just want to be transparent. One of the reasons why I went off, right, is that I'm a mompreneur. It is a day that the schools are closed due to weather, and my kids were yelling, right? You probably heard them. And I was like, okay, let me pause. And the reason why I wanted to be transparent is that, when we've been doing the discussion group, people are saying like, oh, if I work from home, will people value me? Or what happens if my kids come in? These things happen. And one thing I love about, and they probably have happened when you have talked, Dr. Marvette, and when people love you and when they're dedicated and they feel that they're supporting you, people understand when these things happen, particularly if you're working from home or your kids are sick, right? Anywhere when your kids are home from school. So I wanted to kind of be open about that as an example that, you can still do effective work, working from home, having kids here, and people will just keep it moving.
Yeah, and to go one step further, I feel like people appreciate that more. Like it makes people like you even like more because like, oh, real life is happening. So I don't have to have it all together all the time and be this perfect image that really doesn't exist. Life happens. Yeah.
Yes, life happens. Thank you for sharing that. So tell us more about, your mission and tell us about the work that you do.
So I work with doctoral students. To be very clear, I mostly work with students who are doing a form of research called qualitative. So in simple terms, you have quantitative, you have qualitative. Quantitative is mostly dealing with numbers, while qualitative is more about the words or the why, going very deep on something very small. So I help people finish their qualitative dissertations. And the particular person who would come to me, there's three main reasons why they would come to me. So you have what you call a dissertation committee. So you do all your classes when you're doing a PhD program or terminal degree, and then you reach a point where you have to write a dissertation, which is essentially a book. There's a committee of people who get to say, one, if you get to write that book, and then once you write it, they get to say if it's good enough or not. And so people come to me because they're having trouble getting past their committee. Their committee is saying something is wrong, we don't know, and maybe they've been frustrated for 8 months, a year, 2 years, like they've just been stalled. So they come to me to just see what's going on with their dissertation and how we can fix that to get that passed. Or they're coming to me because they're stuck. And maybe many of you can relate to this, especially if you're working in your business. One thing I like to say is people don't tell you the amount of writing you have to do as a business owner, especially like when you're thinking about service space. You have sales pages, like blog posts, social media posts. And if you have tried to sit down and write, especially if you want to get into like batching, you can imagine how hard it is to write. To get yourself motivated. You might even block off the time in your calendar, but when you sit down and you put fingers to keyboard, you're like, okay, but what am I supposed to say? Like, I know what my business is about, but what do I say? So students will come to me because they're doing the same thing with their dissertation. And like, I know what my topic is, but I don't know exactly what to write on the page. And then other people are coming to me in general just for support and accountability because this process is very lonely. Up to this point, they've been in classes with other people, with instructors. And when you get to your dissertation, you're pretty much on your own. There's no one's giving you deadlines. So it's up to you to have that internal motivation. And that can be really difficult. And so people are coming to me just for that support as an open ear to help them figure some things out. And so I work with clients one-on-one to help them write their different phases of their dissertation. And I also have an accountability membership group where we get together 3 times a week for 2 hours each time, and we're working. Like we're holding each other accountable. We're doing work though. Like we open up the meeting with like something inspirational or like in our mindset or something about improving our writing. But for a good hour and 45 minutes, we're writing and working.
Okay. So what made you say that, this was going to be your area in business and you so we get what you do, but why do you and why do you feel like you were the one that needed to do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the funny part is, Quanisha, I owe most of this credit to you. We were on a group call. And so my original business idea was, I believe, about relationships, healthy relationships and dealing with shame and things.
Yes,
and,
I remember.
I was running into blocks because personally I didn't do my own work. So how can I help someone else do their own work? And we were having a conversation about how I moved forward. And I think you were like, well, why are you even doing that? What are you doing your dissertation on? And I told you about my work with Black women and graduate programs and sister circles. And you're like, well, why can't that be your business model? And I don't know, it never occurred to me. And I'm like, you're right, I can make this work. And from there, really trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this? I really realized I'm very good at explaining qualitative research. So there's not many people, I would say, who really get the area of qualitative research that I do. So I'm all about storytelling, and I'm all about talking about systems of oppression and how do we marry the two in a formalized research process. And I didn't know that because I wasn't owning that about myself. I was like, of course, everyone else knows this. Of course, everyone. There's people with PhDs who've been doing this for 10, 20 years. Who am I? I'm just a student. Because at that time, I was writing my own dissertation. And so from working with you, from that initial conversation in the group and really just trying to figure out how to make this model work and talking with other actual clients and friends and helping them write, I realized that, no, this is my zone of genius, is really understanding not only how the research part works, but really what motivates people to write and to make progress.
I love that. We all have to find sometimes that sweet spot where our expertise and our passion and even desire, right? All that comes together. And so I just wanted to pull that out. As you all heard, Dr. Marvette, with, it's probably still a passion of you, making sure women have healthy relationships. But one thing I always tell people, we got to make sure we heal from that in order to help other people doing it. And of course, sometimes when we're 3 steps ahead of someone else, right, we can still sell a service to help them get those 3 steps.
Yeah.
But sometimes when we dig deeper, we'll uncover some passions that you have, and you are actually doing this work at no cost. The folks, and the question was would people pay for this, right? And when you started to pilot and test it out, we saw that people were actually yeah, I want to pay for this support and help. So I just wanted to pull that out. I've had iterations of business, we'll have different iterations. And as you actually get in action, right? One thing we talk about is doing your work in the real world. That's when you can start refining and seeing how it's landing for the people that you want to work with, but also how it's landing for you, right? You start to have joy on a whole different level of what you were doing. And that's important, right? Because if it doesn't feel good, you're not going to keep showing up and being consistent with it. So I guess my question, I want to see how you kind of came into your role as CEO, but before that, how did you feel about business and entrepreneurship before kind of even working About Me? And then also, how did you feel about putting yourself out there to promote yourself and even just, what you wanted to do and get compensation for it?
So let's see, in the beginning, so I had this abstract idea of, I know I want to have my own business. I know I want to work for myself. But really, what does that mean? I would say I didn't fully understand what that meant and what that would take from me, in terms of the internal work and external work and showing up. So to give people an idea, the very first time, even before I found you, I was afraid to send out an email. I remember I was a part of another group, and they were just just send out an email, find 6 friends, you're going to tell them you're going to write them an email from your business. It took me 2 days to do that.
Right, easier said than done.
Yes. And I remember when I pressed send, I was sweating, and I never looked at the responses. I never went back to see if people even opened it. So I was starting from there, and then I was like, that's ridiculous. how you're going to have a whole business, you can't even send the email. And so, I mean, but I don't want to downplay it either, because that's very real. Like, you're putting yourself out there for your business. So starting from there, and then I was like, no, I want to do this. So I joined a program or a course to launch my business. And then I found you to say, like, okay, I did all the paperwork, the technical things, but I need to get myself out there more. I can't continue to play small. And so working with you, I just started where people tell you to start, is like making consistent content. So did a couple of clapback type blog posts about qualitative research.
Yeah, I remember those. I was like,
and what was going on, because I'm really like, I love to express myself in a written form. So that was easy. I like, oh, you want me to write? Sure, I could do blog posts. And then when it's me showing up to do things like live videos or just putting myself on video, that took a little bit longer. And even meeting one-on-one with clients took a little bit longer. So what was the second part of the question? So that was sort of where I was coming from in terms of mindset. But then,
yeah. So I guess part of that, how did you feel like requesting compensation for your work? So you were getting out there, right? You were overcoming that challenge, but then being like, will you pay me for this? Or this is the investment for this.
So I was trying to do things like, oh, I'll do like $12, $15 an hour. Just, I'll do it for free. And I remember one of our like one-on-one coaching calls, he told me we're going to do a one-day workshop. And I think you wanted me to charge $197. I was like, Quanisha, I can't do that. I can't do it. And I think I put it out there for $97. And I remember I was so afraid, and I kept going back and forth, like, what if people won't buy? Like, who am I to charge this much? And now I'm looking at it like that wasn't a lot, especially for the amount of work that I was going to be doing during that workshop. I was way undercharging myself. So yeah, I remember putting it out there. I made all the pretty graphics for it, and no one signed up for it. And what I learned from that, though, is I survived it, one. So I survived going through a whole like promotion. Two, that helped people to realize like, oh, we didn't know you were actually in business. We just thought you wanted to do this as like a hobby or something. So it helped to establish that, no, for real, this is a business that I'm doing and I'm open for clients. And then three is how I got my first legitimate like one-on-one client who said, hey, I saw you on social media. I want to sign up and work with you. And then we started to work together. And I believe because we're doing numbers, I only charged her $97, but I would say it was like a great learning experience. And it gave me the confidence to know that I could put myself out there, say this is my price, and that people really wanted what I was offering.
Yeah, so I want to pull that out for folks that, one thing we, of course, Marvette can speak to this, like, one thing we teach here is building the like comprehensive package, which you can, ask for $1,000, $1,200, $3,000 for it. But some of us, let me know if, for those of you watching, if you're nervous, right? If you have that doubt. So sometimes building the muscle up, right, to ask for something is one way to get to those higher level prices. Well, will you feel comfortable saying like, well, this, 6-week intensive where I'm going to help you write your dissertation is $1,500 or $1,000 or $3,000, right? So I want you all to understand, you're like, $197 is not a lot, but you could see that even just that, right, brought up a lot of emotions for Dr. Marvette. And the $97. So sometimes we can pilot our work. I remember the first time with my Black Woman Rise, which was then later came Black Woman CEO. One of my friends were like, I need help with getting my life together. And I was in my coaching program. I was like, well, I can formally help you with that. And I was like, how about you pay me $100 a month and we have 2 calls a month? And that became the basis of all my work. So even getting paid that little bit, right, to create my work and have someone's feedback, is almost that was like the foundation of what we did here. So I don't want people to, demean or think like, oh, that's a low amount. And also you can be strategic about those little workshops, because I have gotten $5,000 clients from a $197 workshop. Let's just be clear. There's a strategy even behind that. But often when you're starting out, sometimes you can, your comprehensive package, you built it, but just having those smaller offers help you to build your muscle. And then one thing I want to pull out with Dr. Marvette, she wasn't marketing her work before this workshop. Mm-hmm. So even that marketing to get out there almost became just like a launching, right? Like, hey, I'm hanging a shingle, even though she was attracting people. So I just want to put that in a context. It was really, you were doing content marketing in some way to raise awareness, right? And then when people started, you said, to see that you were serious, then they were like, oh, I could actually hire you. Right. So sometimes we do have to build that awareness, that and what's called that like, know, and trust factor with our audience for them to be comfortable to make a buying decision. So I just wanted to share, like, put some context around that. And people are saying, yeah, knowing how to price right has been their struggle. Even saying, given the price for fear, what will people think, even though you worth that price and more. So that's what some of the things people are saying in the chat there. So how did you come to own your role, though, as an expert and CEO?
Mm-hmm. So I would say from action is the main thing. And I know it may sound cliche to people, clarity comes from action, but I wholeheartedly believe that. So working with clients, continuing to work my way up through pricing, right? And so I'm getting to a point where I'm having several, because this is not something I started off with. So it's getting to the point of working with several one-on-one clients and starting to realize, like, one, I am getting results, and two, I'm doing a lot of work and I don't see the exchange for it. And I always want to be a coach that is giving high value to my clients, right? I want to make sure that I'm giving them my best, and I want to be compensated for my labor as well, right? Because that's still a form of labor that I have to work with them and help them get to where they're going. And I also had someone help me, like, think about it. You're saving them years off their dissertation experience. And how much does a year cost of school? So roughly we're talking, people are paying, we're talking about between tuition and life expenses. And this is being generous.
$40,000.
Yeah, 40,000, 50,000. And what are you asking them to give you? And you're saving them time and frustration and back and forth, and you're doing more than that. So, really doing the work, because I was working one-on-one with them, to say, I am getting these results, and doing a lot of thought work. So what beliefs, really trying to pinpoint those beliefs that are holding me back. So the fear of not being good enough, to feel like I'm not enough, like someone's going to find me out, going back to the whole imposter, and really, like, where did that come from? And why am I choosing to believe that? And so really every day asking myself, why are you, like, you can think that, that's fine, but why are you choosing to believe that? And doing a lot of journaling to get through that. So I would say the main thing is, because of that work with those one-on-one clients and really seeing how, like, what we were doing in the results and the work I was putting in, helped me to own my CEO-ness and my expertness.
Yeah, and that's actually where we started when was working on the internal, right? I remember you being kind of shocked about what came up. Like, I'm thinking that. Yeah. And so for everyone, like, sometimes we don't even know what's going on in our thought. One it becomes so habitual that we're not even catching it. And then when we see it, it does take like a pause and experience and be like, wow, like, this exists. Why does it exist? And that's what sometimes most times I encourage people to journal, because then you can kind of figure out, what are some of those memories that are associated with it. And, either we start to work through it together, which we did, like reframing some of those beliefs. Or sometimes I tell folks, okay, there's something deeper, you gotta go therapy for a little while and then come back. And that wasn't necessarily Dr. Marvette's experience, but I just wanted to share that, there is a lot that can come up when you start doing the internal work and examining those beliefs around that. So I know you mentioned the journaling, but maybe you can even share, like, targeted, like, how did you overcome that?
So I'll even share, like, what I tell my clients and people who are on, like, who regularly show up to workshops. So I don't know. So I follow someone named Brooke Castillo from the Life Coach School. And she's not the first person to ever have this concept, but the way that she put it together helped me to make more sense of it. So it's called the model. And essentially it's saying that we all have circumstances in our lives. So, like, we're on this call together. And our thoughts about us being in this conversation together, our thoughts control our emotions, and our emotions control our actions, and our actions control our results. So I think about my life through those I guess those stages, you would
Yeah.
say. So every morning when I wake up, I get a notebook, and for a good 5 or 10 minutes, I just write down every thought in my head. So from anything of like, why am I up at 4 o'clock in the morning? I don't want to go to work today. What am I going to eat from dinner? Like every random thought to, I'm the best CEO ever. Like whatever comes up, you just brain dump for 10 minutes. And then I choose one of those thoughts and I say, okay, this is a thought I'm having. How is it making me feel?
Mm-hmm.
And because I feel that way, what am I likely to do today? So I had to say, we had to, like for this video, say I woke up this morning and I said, okay, I have this video. And my thought is, I'm afraid to do this video. Like I'm scared people are not, what are they going to think? So because I'm in fear, how is that going to make me show up? Well, I'm going to second guess everything that I'm doing during the call. I'm not going to be completely present with Quanisha. And so the result of that is going to be me not showing up as my best self. And so because I know that that's something that's potentially come up, instead I say, well, how do I want to feel in this call? I want to feel confident. Like I know what I'm talking about. And how would I show up if I knew what I was talking about? I would sit up tall. I would speak clearly. I would just own my experience and be fine with that. And my result of that would be I'm more intentional, and that I'm more likely to show up confident because I thought about it ahead of time. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably very um, technical for people who are like, girl, I just want to know what you're doing. But I honestly do that. I
No,
do that
it's good. I
times
mean,
a
we
day.
learned that in our program, right? The
Yeah,
cognitive
yeah.
behavioral connection.
Yep.
So we're not going to get completely into like the psychological modalities, but you know, being a certified coach, and Brooke Castillo is actually a certified coach, and she has a life coaching school. I love her. All right, her work. You know, one thing about when people actually have a coaching certification, or even counselors and therapists, we learn cognitive behavioral approaches, and that's actually integrated into Black Women CEO.
It is. Yeah.
And that is that framework of your thoughts impact your feelings and emotions, they impact your behaviors. And then I add your behaviors impact your results, right? Because the actions you take. So if you're not liking how, and the results of your life, if you're not liking how you show up in life, then we got to backtrack, right? And figure out what's going on. And so, you know, I love the way you framed it, because then you learned like a different tweak, right? For how to, you know, catch your thoughts and attend to your emotions so that you overcome it. So for many of us, like we said, first is that catch the thought, how I call it, right? Then you got to start contesting it, right? So as you can see, she was like, oh, this is not true, right? And then sometimes we can definitely self-coach ourselves through it. And that's actually where I want everyone to get. And you become really proficient at it. And of course, we can add in other resources and teachers that have different methods. Or you may need to get coaching to even unveil it, like we said, like Dr. Marvette and I did. So I just wanted to pull that out for everyone. That is cognitive behavioral approaches, perspectives, is a modality. And then, you know, psychologists and counselors learn it at an in-depth level, you know, where they can use it to, you know, really hone in on deeper things like depression and all that other stuff. So that's like when people are thinking about coaching, or getting counseling and therapy, those are the benefits of it. Like these are people like myself, right, who are highly trained in a method. Like we're not just giving you, oh, say this affirmation 3 times. We're going deep to that. We're helping you to, I don't want to say improve yourself. It's like tend to yourself, right?
Yep.
So that then you can start to shift behaviors that will help you to show up powerfully to do, in this case, the business work that you need to do in that way. So I just wanted to pull that out.
And I want to add to that, like even you and I worked on affirmations for one of our coaching sessions. And so I write down my affirmations every day in a journal. I was doing twice a day before. Life is happening now. So it's every morning. And even some of our original affirmations that we came up on our calls. So an example, I attract clients who understand what I do and know that I can provide them value. That was one of the things that we came up with on our call, and I still write that down to this day. I mean, that was what, 2 years ago.
Yes.
And it helps, because it's not as simple as saying like, okay, well, just think positive and just say these affirmations. That combined with actually doing the cognitive work, and being intentional in how I show up has really, it helps.
Yeah. And just to clarify that once again for people, I call it intentions. And the thing is that when she said affirmations, they're tailored to her beliefs. So it's not like, hey, we have our affirmation, a book of 100 affirmations, pick one. We actually take the belief that she had that was kind of unhealthy or limiting her. We tweak it and reframe it so that she believes it, right? And it aligns with where she wants to go. Because sometimes the affirmation is, I make an effort to attract clients who want. So we teach, we tweak it one-on-one, and there's a whole module on it in our program. So, a lot of people can do it through themselves. I walk you through the process in the module. And then, as you can see, Dr. Marvette, she has that affirmation that is tailored to her personally, and she can start reprogramming herself with it by that daily work. So I just wanted to just clarify that, because I know I just said affirmations and we said it again in a different context. That's why I even use the word intentions, right? Intentions that she's setting for herself, that she wants the universe to bring in, right? That she wants to attract. So that's the difference. We're tailoring it to your specific beliefs and not just like some generic affirmations out there. So I know we're kind of like in the wrapper phase. So what has life been like now after kind of like working with me and getting yourself out there?
So I would say the main thing that I really appreciated about our time together is this push to do action. Right. So it's only so much that you can do in your head and you can try to think through, but you were really, especially through our collective program of just do this. You need to get yourself out there. Like you're trying to figure out all these other things that don't matter right now. What you need to do, you need to like make money, and not saying it in a way of like it's all about money. And if you're gonna have a business, you have to bring in money to have a business. And so what are gonna be those? Yes, like what are gonna be those things that are easier to do right now? So is that like a mini course? Is that a half day workshop? Is that what is something you can get out there right now that's gonna get you working with clients and actually making money? And so I always think about that because I felt like it was always simple. Your teaching and what you told us to do was simple to implement. It didn't require me having to learn all these new things. Like your teaching is, here's the step by step, here's the why we're doing it, but this is the step by step, and this is how you can easily do it without having to spend all this money and jump through all these hoops. And so whenever I'm thinking of like, what do I do in my business next? Is keep it simple. What's the easiest way to implement this? And let's just do it. Yes. Like, let's just do it. Let's test it out. And that's how my writing accountability group happened. So I think it was December, and I was like, yeah, I just need some accountability, y'all. Like, it's winter. I'm back in the north. It's getting dark at like 4:00. It's not working. And so I just invited people to do that with me. And I was like, there's so many people who are interested. I'm just going to try this out and see if this could work as a part of my business. And I was honest with those people to say, like, I'm testing it out and I probably will be charging for this come next month. And it worked out. But it was something simple. It was just meeting twice on Sunday. We're just getting together on a Zoom call like this and just writing. And now it's starting to be a whole, like one of the main things in my business that I'm building out. So that's really where I'm focusing my energy is how do I build that out? Because I realize people want community. They want to be a relationship with one another, and they want to be held accountable. They need someone there to say, hey, did you do this? You said you were going to work on this for 4 weeks. Where are you at in the process? So that's really what things are now. I do have some one-on-one clients, but I'm trying to phase mostly from working with one-on-one clients. And a good way to do that is to raise prices. So I feel like I've made a lot of progress in my mindset about pricing. And so now it's 2,000 plus to work with me. And I couldn't have said that a year ago. I would have almost passed out if those words came out of my mouth. But now, nope, that's where we're starting for a 12-week session. So do you want to do this or not? But really focus.
Yes, you can do yes.
Yes.
Like, yes, honey.
Thank you, Martha. Yes. So I'm mainly focusing on the few clients that I have and making sure that I help them get to the point where they get past their committee. And I'm really focusing my energy on this writing accountability group.
I love that. we talk about money in Black women CEO because one is something that the research shows women in general we want to rate away from. And money is the lifeblood of your business. If you've been in business and you haven't generated revenue, you have an expensive hobby. Right? Even though legally the IRS is like you're doing the intention of making money, but some of you actually aren't. You're like, I just want to talk to people. And I'm like, what's the business behind this? Right. And so, I'm very transparent and very honest. And I will keep bringing you back to how you're making money. What are your revenue generated activities? What's the plan for that? That is not a revenue generated activity working on your logo, right? You don't need a logo right now. You need clients. So I just wanted to pull that out. And so one of the reasons we're doing the RISE Honorees is that you can see these are sisters who started a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And sometimes that's more accessible for many of us who are, maybe just starting or thinking about starting, or maybe your business is in that 1 to 2 year phase, and maybe you got paid some, but it's not consistent. And you can see Dr. Marvette went from $97, right, to now testing it out and then seeing like, okay, I'm doing way too much work. And then like she said, we do value-based pricing. Like, she's saving people a year of dissertation work or a year, on their postdoctorate part where they should be writing. That could be $40,000, right? Or $10,000, depending on the school, because sometimes when you finish your coursework, they kind of charge you less to stay, right? Mm-hmm. And so her just charging a fraction of that, saying like, hey, it's $2,000 to work with me, but the value is you're saving this, right? You're going to feel more confident. And as you can even see, even support and community is a commodity, right? You can monetize that because people want structure. And I love that you were very transparent of like, hey, this is a pilot at no cost. And if you want to keep working with me, and once we, test it out, then it will be an investment to do that. And so I just want you all to see different types. Like she talked about workshops, she talked about one-on-one. Now there's a group that she's helping to develop and form after now she has all this experience with the one-on-one and getting those $2,000 clients, right? So, but it's still centered on this qualitative coaching and work. So I want to emphasize that because sometimes we think, I want a book, I want to sell t-shirts, like I have all this stuff. She has a signature program and process, and then it's offering it in different modes, right? And means to get clients and start to develop the work, test it out, getting real world results and social proof. So I just wanted to really build that out. So you said the $2,000 package. Now, are there any other kind of like maybe monetary wins that you can share so that some of the ladies can just see tangibly how this has worked out for you?
So I want to focus on the writing group because it's something. So people would say you need to find one thing or something small, and it wouldn't compute for me. So I'm saying, how can you make progress doing that? But this writing accountability group, even with just 10 people or just 10 to 15 people, we're talking about an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. And so a lot of times we have the number where we're dreaming about, right? People like to say, I want a 6-figure business, right? And I forgot where I heard this, but people don't even say what that number is. So we're just going to make the assumption that it's $100,000 a year that you would ideally like to make. But at the same time, you have to start somewhere. Right. So if you haven't even made your first $100 in business, what do you need to do to make 100,000? And so I want to focus on the writing accountability group because that really brought home to me of the first time I just had 10 people in this group, and that's an extra $500 in my pocket. Like, what if I really focused on this group and really scaled it? Because now that it's a group and it's not one-on-one, there's more opportunity to help more people. Right. And I can always expand the time. So now we are at, like 2025 people. And that was without me doing any hard like launching. That's great. I did like
you told me this in the last call that she got all this people. I'm like, what? Thank you.
Yes. And the price is changing.
I'm like, you did not tell me this. 25 people, y'all. And so I'm sorry. I just wanted to bring that out. Like, okay, let's celebrate that.
Celebrate.
25 people. And then monetarily now, how has that, you said it's added like $1,000 a month?
So $1,500, yeah, because it's a membership and people can cancel at any time. It fluctuates. But right now I'm about to go into another launching because I only open it up once a month at the end of the month. I give people 4 days to sign up. So I'm about to get ready to open it up for March. And my goal is to get to 50 people. at a $30 price point, because one, this group does not require a lot of my time. So I would say I'm spending anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a week total on this one thing. So you want to think about the amount of time that you're putting into a program or offer. And then charging people this $30 allows them to come in. They have to come in at least once a week for a 2-hour period to do work, but they can come to all the sessions. But it's still the same price. And so, well, something is a low price point, not that I'm encouraging people to charge low for everything. It's a good introduction to who I am. It was a good way for me to scale my strategy sessions. Because instead of doing that one-on-one, people get to work with me during that 2-hour period because I can look over their work for them or give them feedback. And that's how I'm starting to get more of my one-on-one clients, even though I'm trying to go away from that. But more people are like, so how do I work with you one-on-one? Because this is great. And if you can do this in this 2-hour session, what can you do with me over a 12-week period? So I say that as, like as
you were using this group for yourself too, right?
I was.
So let's break that down before we get into like some of her life stuff real fast. She herself is using this 2 hours to do her own work. Then she's helping some other people, y'all, and then charging for this like coaching and guidance, right? 6 hours a week is not a lot, right? And you work full time, right? Still. So imagine bringing in just an extra $12,000 in addition to your salary, y'all. Let me know in the chat, how would your life change having that just extra $12,000? Would you be able to go on that vacation? Would you take those days off? Could you help, start to, like you said, build that legacy and what you want to do? So once again, I love that you brought up, like, even that learning how to make your own money, right? That 500,000. And then of course you can build on that. So I really want to hear in the chat, how would that change your life? People say dramatically change, life change. I would definitely be able to do a lot with that extra income. So I want us to see, like, even when you're in I say you kind of like startup, but you're kind of like entering growth because it's been consistent. Now, and you're using a leverage model, right? You're building that out. Even that can be a real impact in our lives and businesses. So we're going to kind of move into this, like, your personal self round before we get into the Q&A. So how have you integrated like work, business, life, self-care, and family, as you've been doing all this?
It's still a journey. It's a process. I would say not only making a schedule, but sticking to the schedule is helpful. Because I was like, oh yeah, I have a schedule. But then I was just saying like, oh, let me just check this email really quick while, I don't know, I'm eating dinner. Or, oh, I have a few minutes before I have to leave work for the day. Let me do this instead of doing other personal things that I needed. And I have a life change that now I'm in a whole different relationship. And before, I was maybe really the first 2 years, I was in and out of a relationship. There was a good year there that I wasn't in a relationship. So I could just go to work at my 9 to 5, go eat dinner. And then from 6 to 10, I was at Starbucks working. And this is Monday through Friday, plus working all day on Saturday. And I got to a point of like, why are you doing all this work like that? This can't be the life that you wanted when you originally had this idea of having your own business and working for yourself. So now it's about establishing a schedule. So having client calls on one day and content creation on another day. And then knowing that I have my writing accountability groups for 2 days out of the week. And so being very clear that I'm only working 4 days a week on my business, it still works out to be 20 hours. But once those 20 hours are up, then I have to go take a break. Otherwise, I'm going to burn myself out. And when I'm launching, that's different, right? Because that requires extra moving pieces.
Right.
But as much as possible, sticking to that schedule helps me to make sure that I'm being balanced, not only for myself, but for my significant other, as well as making sure I can go and see family and spend time with them.
Yeah, and one thing I love is that having seen your schedule shift. I always tell people, if you tell me you got 5 hours, I'll tell you how to effectively use that 5 hours, because you were like finishing your dissertation at one time we were working together. Then you were like moving, and then there was like family stuff that came up. And now that things are kind of settled, now you said that now you know you got the 4 days and how to expand it out. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront, that you can have life going on and keep you crazy and still build a revenue generating business. And someone put, it will help with student loans if they had that revenue coming in. Marvette, can you share like what is your personal mantra or like a motto, or saying a quote that you live by, and also that's been like able to help you kind of in your business to stay in action?
One of my favorite quotes that I've had, even like as a master student, 10 plus years, is you become what you pay attention to. So how, as much as possible, can I make sure that I'm paying attention to what I want to become, and who I believe myself to be? Because that whole like saying about you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most, that includes people that you're watching on television, that includes the things that you're consuming. Um, a random example would be like, at one point I was like, I'm gonna rewatch Scandal. And I don't know if anyone has rewatched Scandal, but it's a very dramatic show. Like it's all like all this yelling, and I just felt that my anxiety was worse. And I had to go back because this is what you've been consuming for days and days and days. So of course your anxiety would be all over the place and you'd feel like that. But that's true over a longer period of time. So if you're constantly telling yourself like I'm not good enough or this isn't going to work, and you're around other people who are encouraging that thought process, like, yes, too hard, I don't know why you're doing that, and you're not supplementing that with people like you, Cornisha, like who say, no, you can do it, let me tell you how, or listening to podcasts or reading books to try to make sure that you're managing your thoughts, because that's 80%, to me, that's 80% of the process.
Ooh, girl, yes.
That's 80%. So I thought, because you could, like, Cornisha, you could tell, like, you would have told me exactly what to do, and you did tell me exactly what I needed to do to make money, but because my thoughts weren't there, I couldn't do it. Like, you gave me the blueprint. You said just follow these steps, and even still, because I kept thinking like someone just needs to tell me what to do and I'll do it and I can be successful. And you did, and I still wasn't doing it. And it's because I didn't have my mind together. And so I started to pay more attention to not only what other people who I wanted to be like were doing, but just how do I manage my own thoughts? How do I put positivity in there to combat the negativity? So you become what you pay attention to.
Yeah, and I love that transparency just now and that vulnerability. And that's why I say, like, yeah, we can fix racism and bias and all this other stuff, but that don't mean you're gonna you to do your business. And so I push you all, but I don't judge you, because I know like that mindset shift stuff can be heavy, right? I could be like, here's the 6 steps, and even here's your personal mantras and intentions, but you can still have things that keep you stuck. And so, but I do want to acknowledge you that though you were stuck at times along the way, you kept implementing, even if it was like you said, that $97 offer first, and then you will have something you like, all right, I'm coming back to it, right? And then you started to, it sounds like also connect with some more like mindset training and stuff that's built that, helped you to maybe show up a little differently. But when we did our private coaching, you were like doing stuff, right? So I just want to acknowledge that you were in action, even when the mindset stuff may have seemed heavier. So and that's one reason why I always acknowledge that with y'all, because sometimes I didn't do anything, and I'm like, you made your free offer, you like you did this and this and this, and you showed up to your coaching call. Like those are all wins, right? And you showed up to the group coaching. Like I want you all to know that those are actions and wins, and those are revenue generating activities, because those are things that help you make money. And but I love that you said it's 80% mindset, right? So and I think Allison Bird, another one of my mentors, mentions that like 15 to 20% is training, right? And the rest of it is you. It's you. So, I wanted you to say, like, the folks who are watching, if you find yourself like maybe you've done the courses, maybe you've done the masterminds, like Marvette said, she did a launch a business course, right? And if that mindset is not there and tending to it, right, and healing and all these other things, that can really be why you're not moving forward, right? And there's a lot of things that influence that. So just to wrap up before we get to the Q&A, I'm just going to probably ask it this way. What is one thing you would say to an attendee, right, who is considering, let me say, what would you say to someone right now who's just frustrated with building her business and desires to become like that rock star CEO, right? Or another way to say it, like, what would you tell someone, what would you have wanted to know when you started your journey?
I wish someone would have came to me and you need to take responsibility for where you are. And that sounds harsh, And I needed someone to say that in the most loving way possible, to just be real with me, to say, you have to take responsibility for where you are. Right. So yes, I was taking action. I was trying to do all the things. There was still a part of me in my mind, to be completely transparent and say, like, well, I pay all this money for this coaching, not only like with you or just other people, and I'm still not making any money. So clearly it's not me, it's them. They don't care enough, or they're not invested in me like I feel like they should be. And I kept having all these internal thoughts. And I had to get to a point of like, but what didn't I do? How am I showing up? If I don't believe in me, like, people can't come in and do the work for me. So I am doing work, but you can't do the mental work for me, right? You can't make me believe in myself. You can't make me show up being confident. I have to do that. And I have to accept responsibility that I wasn't all the way in. I was expecting that I was going to pay X amount of dollars and it was magically going to happen, and that I wouldn't have to go through these hard moments. So, as harsh as it may sound, I would say you have to take responsibility that no matter what it takes, no matter how many times you think you fail, no matter how many times you think you're stumbling, that you're going to keep going. You're going to keep trying to make it work, and that you're going to show up to believe that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and to believe that you can do it. And I'm not saying that's an overnight process, but the more that you keep going, the easier it will become to believe that.
I heard that. And that's one thing I tell y'all, you got to take 100% responsibility for your life. And one thing that's always over our control, no matter the circumstances, is how we react to them, right? And what we choose. I'm so glad you pulled that out. And because this is Black Women CEO, I would love to know, like, what is one thing you would say to like an attendee who is considering, Black Women CEO and being in our programs? Or let's take this actually more deeper. Like, what would you say to your best friend if you wanted to recommend, like, me, right? And
I think I said, like, Quanisha's a homie. I believe that Quanisha is a homie. You need someone who, like, can understand and it's not going to judge you. It's gonna listen and be so loving and caring and like, oh yeah, girl, I understand. Yes, that's hard. I also had some similar experience. However, what are you gonna do next? Right? We're like your friend, like, when I say Black women will get you together. Black women will get you together. Like, yeah, I get it, girl. It's hard. Yeah, but what you gonna do next? Because we don't have time to stay here. We can't stay here. Like, yes, you need to work through it, but you have a goal and want to make sure you help get that goal. And that's what you do. So that's why I tell people, like, I think it's important to learn business from a Black woman. It's very clear that this field is very dominated by white men. And not to say that knowledge isn't useful or the things that they have to say isn't useful, but there's nothing like working with another Black woman that's going to not help you affirm who you are on the inside, as well as help you get success. And I do know there's some Black women who don't have the best intentions, but that is not you at all. I felt like I was very cared for as a person. I felt like I was very seen as a person. And I got very solid, like, instruction that actually gave me results. So that's what I would tell people. Like, it's not just about how you can get ahead in business and make money. You have to be healthy and happy as well. And Quanisha can help do both for you.
Oh, that, like, my heart's so warm.
Yeah.
I love the chat. Someone said Black women will get you together. I love that. So thank you so much for, I think, what did y'all think about this? How did you think about the interview? Like, I love the transparency and the vulnerability, because I feel like that's what we need to go often to do well. And of course, you shared a lot of success strategies in business. I won't do that question. I'm like, what is your number one? She shared a lot. Right. So watch the replay, get the golden nuggets that are out here. So everyone's saying this is awesome. So I want to move to our Q&A now. So we actually picked a winner for the one-on-one coaching with me. As you can see, the one-on-one coaching works. Dr. Marvette talks a lot about it. And thank you so much once again for those kind words about the impact of the working with me and what you would recommend. Because I know some of the women here will be considering, working in Black Women CEO. So our winner is, and I hope I'm not going to butcher this, Anaka Hokut. Anaka. She's actually our winner of the 20-minute power session with me. Yay. So our team will be connecting with, she's like, yay! We'll be connecting with you on that. And so now we're just going to do, to honor everybody's time, especially Dr. Marvette, like just 15 minutes of Q&A. Hopefully you can ask me anything, right? And she may be like, nah, I ain't saying that. But ask anything, like if you want more clarification on her journey, maybe if you want some advice on your journey, right? She can give us some feedback. So the way we're going to do that is there actually is a Q&A box on Zoom. So I want you to type your questions in there because it can get lost in the chat. So if you have any questions for Dr. Marvette, and I guess even me, right? Go ahead and drop it into the chat right now. If you're watching this on Facebook or where we've been streaming, you can actually go click that link that's in the description and come on in because we're only answering questions for folks who have registered. We want to honor their leadership and answering their questions. So go ahead, y'all, drop in some of your questions here, right? Really maximize this time that you have to get some free coaching from a Black woman CEO on the Rise and the Black woman CEO, founder and CEO of Black woman CEO here. So, let's do it. Let's maximize that time. So go ahead and drop your questions in. I'm just going to look at the chat. People are congratulating Anaka. We all can help each other shine. That is so true. Anaka said, I'm doing a dance. And they all are like connecting. I love that you all are connecting with one another. Mm-hmm. That is really great. And some of you who do similar work, like, I can help you. That was like part of our purpose with the RISE Summit. And like, one thing that Dr. Marvette talked about was the collective, right? Bringing you all together. The research shows that community is a protective factor. So as I started to do the work, and once again, you can also raise your hand if you want to ask a question live. As I, was thinking about that research, is like, it was great to do things like one-on-one, but even having them in community, and it wasn't masterminding because it wasn't like y'all were giving each other advice. Of course you would share resources, but just knowing that there was other women who were having some of your experiences and challenge, or someone would ask a question and you're like, you know what, I actually did have that question and I didn't know to ask it. Or you're like, oh, I'm not there yet, but now I have a resource, right? Or advice that would help me with that. So, and then just being in an affirming space is so important. I think Dr. Marvette also talked about that, especially in her conclusion, like being in that affirming space. So, like while I am the head sister in charge or whatever, we attract women like Dr. Marvette, who I think we all have this essence of like, we love Black women and we want to see Black women win. Right. Mm-hmm. So let's support one another in that. So I just wanted to mention that. Marsha, okay, I was about to say, Marsha, your question got off. So Marsha asked, Dr. Marvette, how did you decide what services you were going to provide first? Or was there several services and product that you focused on? And I know she did answer this, but I know people jumped in at different times. So I don't know if you can maybe just give a quick review of how you did that.
Yeah, so in the very beginning, I, at the suggestion of Kanisha, offered a half-day workshop about writing your whole proposal for your dissertation, which is roughly like 50 to 75 pages that you take before your committee, essentially like, this is my plan. And I was offering that. I was still a little bit too nervous to do one-on-one. Or I was like, no, I don't need to do that. I can skip that. I mean, I know people tell you to do that, but I can skip it. And so I tried to do the half-day workshops and do things like that. And that wasn't working as well because I wasn't clear on how to help people. And so I got over myself and it was like, no, you need to do one-on-one. And that's what I focused a good year on, is providing one-on-one services and really working with clients and like honing in on what my system and what I was thinking versus what they were thinking, and really come up with a system that works. So I would say that's where I learned the most. And it's really helpful to really see what your clients are thinking, because they're going to come to you and say one thing like, oh, this is my struggle. And really, as a coach, you're going to see really quickly that, no, really this other thing is. So people come to me and they say, I need to get my dissertation passed. Just tell me what to write. And really what they need help with is the thought work. Because there's a lot of stuff coming up for them as they sit down to write. And so we spend most of our time managing thought work before we can even get to content. So that's how I started.
Okay, great. And so then she's explaining how she decided where she go.
Okay.
I realized I was trying to write in the chat and then I was writing to one person. So sorry, whoever the person I was writing to. And then Delise asks, have you ever had a time that you felt that you put in your time, but you're not getting the results that you needed?
So like, I wonder if it's like time with the business or time with clients. So yeah, so Quanisha, you talked about this just a little bit ago that I was taking action, and I said like I was going to work my 9 to 5. So I would even get up before the 9 to 5. Like let's just take it. I would start working from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. I would try to do some stuff. I would go to work from 9 to 5, and then I would go to Starbucks from 6 to 10 at night and still work. And I was doing that throughout the whole week. It was working all day. So from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on a Saturday. I was putting in all these hours to try to get content out there. So it's mostly like blog posts and social media posts. And I was like, but I'm not making any money from this. Like, this isn't giving me like money in hand, but I'm putting in all these hours. And so I remember feeling very frustrated. But now time has passed and people are like, oh, yeah, I just Googled this one thing and you pop right up. And that's why I booked the strategy session with you. And that's why I don't need to go through all this time. So the time where people need to get to know, like, and trust me is shortened because I have all the content out there and people can see that it's clear that I know what I'm talking about and that I have results. So I would say that was really a time where I felt like I wasn't seeing the results, but it's about being patient.
Yeah, and I actually remember that time. So, one of the push I have for you all is to get that content out there because it starts to bring people to you. But one small tweak that we made was starting to have that clear call to action at the end. I remember you telling me like, I wrote an article on LinkedIn, I put my clear call to action, and I got a client. I was like, see, I told you all that sometimes we're producing, but it's not organized in a way that actually leads to you all having like someone come in to explore your services. So that's another way that you could be putting all this time in, but if it's not structured correctly, right, it is kind of like it's going out there into the universe of the internet, but it's not bringing in clients for you. And Delise said, actually, well, I think you just talked about time with business, but I guess you also wanted to know clients. So the original question was, have you ever had a time that you felt that you put in your time, so I guess with the client, but you were not getting the results that you needed? So I don't know, maybe you felt like the client wasn't following through or getting the results that you wanted them to get.
So one thing I would say, a more recent lesson is, so before it was all about like, I need to get clients so I can make money, right? And even taking on people that I know I shouldn't have said yes to, but because I was like, oh no, I need to generate income, so I have to take whoever wants to work with me. And now when I'm looking back, I'm like, you knew from the beginning. You knew from the strategy session. Like I felt it in my gut. Like this person, they're not a right fit. And not that I couldn't help them or like it was anything necessarily wrong with them. I just felt in my gut that we were not going to be a good fit together because of my style and because of what they were looking for. But instead, I decided to say, nope. I fed into the fear of, but I need to make money. And what if this is the only client that I get for a while? So I'm going to take them on. And this was a person who also taught me like, oh, no, it's definitely time to raise the prices. I was working with them and we would have calls and I would say, you need to do X, Y, Z. But really, this is going to happen. Like your advisor is going to come back to you and they're going to say these things. And they would be like, no, they're not. They told me this on the feedback. No, they're not going to, we don't have to worry about that. I'm like, nope, that's going to come up for you. So I want you to be prepared. And she was like, nope. Sure enough, a week later, the advisor said exactly what I said they were going to say. And we just kept going through this week after week. And I just felt like, you're not coachable right now, or maybe I'm just not the coach for you. And that's okay. But right now, this just isn't going to work out. And so I've learned that one, I really need to listen to my gut when I'm having a strategy session, and it's okay to say no, and that's not going to be the last person. And two, I'm doing a lot of work for the prices that I was charging. And so we're going to stick with going up now.
Well, thank you for sharing, especially that client experience, right? So yeah, sometimes we will be like, okay, I need some money, so I'm gonna do this, right? And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And then also it's okay to fire a client to say, this isn't working. You're not following the program or listening to me. So why do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that you were transparent about that. And people are saying great info about costs today. Some people also were mentioning that marketing and social media is a weak point. Delise said I'm getting better at the call to actions, and that from your questions, the answers just now, that's good info. And okay, it gave me a bit of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for saying thank you. So we still have like 5 minutes left on the Q&A. So go ahead and feel free to drop your question in, or if you want to ask live, raise your hand. And once again, I just put in the chat, let us know how today's session is resonating with you. Please share some of your takeaways. She just kind of bared all. And we love to hear kind of how this is landing for you, and as you think about it with your business. And maybe you're like, you had an aha or a breakthrough. You're like, you know what? I'm going to do this differently now as a result of today. Really would love you to check in with that. In those pieces. So while we're waiting for people to see if there's any more questions, are there just like any last minute things like you want to say to the group, or you want to emphasize for participants who are in this like idea phase or the startup phase? Maybe they make some money, or the growth phase, right? Maybe they've been bringing in money, but it's not consistent, or they want to increase their pricing. So any thoughts around any of that?
The biggest thing I want people to just keep going. Don't let other people tell you it's not going to work. Don't let other people's fears and all their mental stuff get in the way. Just keep going. No matter if you're like, I don't know how this is going to work. You don't need to know the how, particularly right now. You just have to keep going. And so that's, if you take nothing else from this call, just know that if you keep going, you will get clear. You will figure out the how. You would have success. It's just a matter of time. So that's the one thing I wish people will walk away with.
Yeah, I think that echoes one thing that I say. I always say clarity, and I got this from a friend, that clarity is a precursor to action. And then I added in, through action, you get more clarity, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you just kind of said that in another context. Someone in the chat said, the takeaway, do these events, change my thoughts, fill them with more books, positivity, and ideas. I'm not, she may be saying fill her thoughts in the books, but thank you for sharing that. And once again, last call for questions. You got 3 minutes now. Anyone wants to either come in and raise your hand or drop in the question that you have. And this could be about your business or where you are, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be, Dr. Marvette, tell me this. But if you just want us to kind of like give you some advice right now for where you are in business, we can definitely do that. Marsha said, I took away, set my intention, and do the action work. I noticed that I've fallen into doing all these trainings, but I have not applied any of it. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, Dr. Marvette.
Oh, yeah, that was a wow. I was like, oh, give me all the trainings. I don't even know about webinars and courses and Instagram. Just doing the most because it's easy. So it's one thing I tell my clients, like we have been, like most of the people who are attracted to this community, like we got education down on a lot. We've been good girls. We're smart. We can follow a class syllabus, a plan like nobody business, right?
Right.
But when it comes down to actually doing the work, that's when the thoughts come up. So what if you just took, I just say like 3 months of a break? You can't buy anything, can't look at any new program, choose one program, this program, choose one program, and just do the work.
CEO.
Yeah. Show up and do one thing. What is one thing you can do today? One thing that's going to take you 20 minutes or less to do. What is one thing? Is that a Facebook post? Is that an outline of a blog post? Is that an outline of a sales page? Or is that a brainstorm of potential products? What is one thing you can do? And just do one thing a day. And do that for 3 months and see where you are at the other end of that 3 months.
And as you can see, even from Dr. Marvette's interview, y'all got like 4 expert trainings. So you got some information, right? And we're not even saying, well, go buy something and then like watch a replay and choose one thing. Go implement it. And so Delise says, it's good to see that Dr. Marvette applied what she learned in the modules, because Delise is actually in Women CEO community, now Aya, his I network. And this is a great testament to your work, Quanisha. Glad to be part of your community. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know I maybe sound like child. I'm like, oh, thank you. No, I really mean it. I really honor the fact that women are investing kind of like through me in our programs to invest in themselves. Because that's how I see investing. You invest in other people as a means of investing in yourself. Right. And I'm highly committed to y'all all making money that sometimes I won't even be writing my own stuff because I'm like, look, let's focus on what y'all got to do, because I want us to really beat those odds, right? That $28,000 a year that Black women are making. So, and I know it's internal stuff as well as know-how, right? Knowing the effective business strategies. And like Dr. Marvette said, it can be real simple, easy, and cost effective. And so that's what I teach all of you. You don't need to go mortgage your house and get a second mortgage to start generating revenue. You can leverage your existing networks. You heard what she all said. I was sharing my stuff on her social media, right? She was leveraging her networks at first, talking to her people about what she was doing, and they became her clients. Not the first year, about 90% of the people that became my clients, they came from my personal network of friends or people that were even getting to know me and like masterminds and stuff like that. So, you can use the folks that leverage your network in that. So thank you both to Lisa and Dr. Marvette for kind of, I guess, talking about the impact of our programs there. And there's a lot now, everyone's sharing their takeaways. So I definitely want to read them. And then Dr. Marvette, if you have any thoughts, I want to honor your time. I know you have to go. So I think this is either Marsha or Maria. I can't see the whole name because of where the chat is. It's Marsha. She says, so easy to fall into comfortability of just learning. I realized her fear was looking stupid or not smart enough. Latirica said, my takeaway is to just focus on my goal and walk into my destiny. Awesome. Delise says, Dr. Marvette is also an inspiration. You taught me to be committed to my purpose. Awesome. And then someone says, yes, you're not alone, Marsha. It's common in our community. And that's why support is so important. That's coming from Kim. Kim Davis, our client relationship, another alumna. And Rochelle says, my takeaway is to be more focused. I'm doing so much, but not focusing on my business as I should. And then Latirica said once again, another comment. She said, my biggest problem is that I get so caught up in helping everybody else build their stuff that I put mine on the back burner and forget to get back to mine. So I know I kind of went through those, but any, I guess, thoughts, Dr. Marvette, on or anything that really stood out that you're like, I got to talk to this fast before we sign off.
One, I would say, if you're questioning if you'll be smart enough or if you'll give enough value, you're already ahead of the game, because the people who don't give enough value or who are only in it for the money are not questioning it. So the fact that you're even trying to be aware of it says a lot about who you are and how you want to show up with your clients and within your business. And then the second part is we teach people how to interact with us. So if we're constantly saying like, oh, what I have to offer, like, even though I know it's helping you, but I don't value enough to say, either put boundaries up or to say, no, you need to compensate me for my labor, then they're not going to think of that on their own. And most of the time it's not even like they're trying to out to get you or like use you. It's just that that's what you taught them to do and how to interact with you.
Right.
So you have to let them know, like, so there's friends. So yes, most of my clients have come either from my network or because someone in my network told them about me. And sometimes I do have friends who are like, oh, can you look over this? Or what about this question? And I finally had to get to a place where I'm like, oh, that's great. Here's the answer. However, if you want to continue this relationship, my coaching starts at X amount of money. And they don't, like, nobody's upset about it. Everybody understands. But they forget, right? Like, they forget, like, oh, yeah, you do know, and this is a business for you. So you're right. Let me sign up through the proper channels.
Yeah, and I love that you took it as, giving them the benefit of the doubt. They weren't trying to take advantage. They just forgot, right? Yeah. And they were so used to you, right, giving it to them. And one thing I say to my folks, like my friends and stuff, when I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you this, but if you want to work with me formally, or if you want me to formally help you, I'm happy to schedule a strategy session. We can talk about it, or we talk about it now, how I can work with you, right? So there's definitely ways that gently, right? And and still kind, that you can tell people like, hey, you want to pay? You want some more? You got paid, right? This is what it looks like. And it's not even like, oh, here's a family and friends discount. It's like, no, this is what it is. And I have people, honor my prices. I've never had anyone asking for a discount. That has never been my experience. So
Mhm.
I think when you, like you said, when you value yourself, you're positioning yourself as an expert, your pricing is also value-based. I think people don't even think to ask that because they want to honor, right, what you do and, be integrity themselves and come to the space where both people are feeling good about it. So thank you for touching on those things. People were saying, wow, when you talked about the smart enough, and it's hard to get back and play catch up when you're so busy trying to help others. And then I get discouraged. And people saying they totally get that. So I know we're kind of like 5 minutes over, so I definitely want to honor Dr. Marvette for, taking the time to come to all of us today. Let's all give her a applause. As you can see, why I chose her as an honoree for 2019. People saying snaps and giving you applauses in the chat. I just want, like I said, I really honor and appreciate you for being vulnerable, for being transparent, for being courageous, right? To make investments at multiple levels for yourself. Like I said, Marvette started out in a 7-day challenge. I was like, I think you want when I did it for like $7 for 7 days. Mm-hmm. Then paid like close to $1,000 to be in like the course at the time in the community. And I was like more than that, right? But then invested another 1,000 or so to do some private sessions, right? So, she has really and then having to do the investments that you need to promote, put some platforms up, right? So as you can see, she's constantly making investments in her business, but what? She's getting a return, or has gotten, right, a return on those investments and seeing the shifts and seeing the growth and had the breakthroughs. And then ultimately, right, because of business, she's had also the revenue too, right? So all this effort and dedication, commitment and endurance, right? Her endurance and her resourcefulness has also allowed her to reap these rewards. So for that, you are our RISE Honoree. And I thank you so much for coming and sharing your experience. And people are saying applause, kudos. Thank you, Dr. Marvette. Applause all the way around. And so, Ashe.
Yes, Ashe. Thank you so much, Juanisha, for having me and for everything that you've done. I'm so grateful that I came across you and made the decision to work with you, and that I get to know you and have you in my life in both formal and informal capacity. So thank you so much.
Yeah, because we'll be chatting in the messenger and stuff. My clients are my friends. I love you all. Even when they're done, I'm like, girl, what you up to? How's it? So thank you for mentioning that. Like, y'all my friends. Like, I'm not a guru, right? We have a guru-free space. I'm just your sister in this. I'm a guide. I'm a little bit ahead, right? And even some of y'all older than me, so I can't say technically big sister, but right, we're really a community and a cohort, and we all honor our expertises, right, and where we have, and we lean on one another in different ways and support one another, even use each other's services, right, to advance in our lives and businesses. So thank you for mentioning that. And so I want to leave you all with our motto, and y'all probably like, we know what it is. That power is the ability to create your reality, y'all. So go forth and be powerful, and return today for the next session, which will be at 3 p.m. with Kim Davis, who's going to share her business. So she's a Christian spiritual strength trainer. So as you can see, these ladies have a range of businesses and have been doing well. So we'll see you back here today at 3:00 so that you can hear from my next RISE Honoree. So see you all soon. Thank you.